Hi everyone, welcome to the Postcard podcast. My name is Rebecca. Greetings from South Florida. I am currently in my house right now recording this week's episode, as I was last week. But eventually I would love to record in different places, not just cities, but also locations like at a park or something. I don't think I can film at a coffee shop, although I would love to because the coffee shop vibes are real. But filming at a park would be really fun if I get over the embarrassment of having a mic just in public. But I would love that. And then I would say greetings from wherever I'm at that time, filming that a new episode, especially when I do move, and I would love to travel more often and record in new places about my travels and stuff like that. It is a little silly, but I also think it's very cute, and it has a little postcardy theme, so it fits the vibe. And I say it in real life too. I don't know why, it just became a habit, and I love saying it because I think it's funny. And every time I say it, I think of the movie Heathers and Christian Slater's character saying greetings and salutations. Anyways, welcome to episode 2 of the Postcard, and as always, I am very excited. And today I'm going to talk about 25 lessons I've learned before turning 25, or 25 lessons I've learned in my 25 years. 25 lessons I've learned in my 25 years. Sure. I'm also going to talk about 25 goals that I have for my next 25 years, which is crazy to think that in 25 years, which is literally my lifetime right now, I am going to be 50 years old. Insane. I don't like thinking about it, but that's what is reality. So I'm going to share my goals for the next 25 years. Let's begin. Starting with the 25 lessons that I've learned. Also, none of these are in chronological order. They're just at random. Number 1 is not everybody who comes into your life is meant to stay in it. And this one's a really hard pill to swallow because I think as humans, we care deeply about the people who we let into our lives and that we invest our time and energy into forming a meaningful connection with them. And then them just leaving and not being in your life the same way that they used to be feels really weird and scary and upsetting. And I'm talking not just dating, but friendship, if anything more so friendship. But once I started seeing it from this point of view that losing these people from your life isn't necessarily losing them, but it's more so growing and just developing into the next phase of your life, it started to become easier to look at from that standpoint. And realistically, you're not going to have the time, space, and energy for every single person that you meet. There's just so many people in the world, and you're going to meet so many people throughout your life. So it's just really impossible to keep all of them in your life. And back to the growing thing, people grow apart. And when you grow apart, it means that you're changing as a person and hopefully for the better. And so it means you're in a different phase of your life. And I see that as a positive. And that's something that I really like. I don't really like change. It always has scared me ever since I was a kid. But when I see it as, how do I explain this? When I see it as being different and moving forward, that's when I think change is good and I accept it. When I see it as something bad, when I hear change, it feels negative immediately. I don't know if that's just me, but my initial association to the word change is negative. And then when I think about it a little bit more deeply, I'm like, oh, change can also be good. Most of the times change should be good because it means, like I said, you're progressing forward or you're making a difference or something is different in your life that it wasn't before. And hopefully that's a positive thing that's different and not a negative thing. A sub-point or sub-lesson of number 1, though, is although not everyone that comes into your life is meant to be in your life, don't lose a meaningful friendship or connection for something stupid. And what I mean by that is If there's somebody who was once in your life that you no longer talk to, not because you grew apart or something bad happened or they did something stupid or you did something stupid, or not because it was something negative, but just because there was a positive change in your life and you never reached out and you let time pass, and they never reached out and they let time pass, and you thought, I'm not going to reach out, they don't reach out. If they meant something to you, I think it's still worth it to try to reach out and see if their friendship is still there and if they still reciprocate that friendship. Obviously, if you reach out multiple times and they don't show the same reciprocation, then no, they're not your friend anymore. But maybe sometimes both parties are too scared, and then time keeps passing, and then you're like, well, this is awkward now. And you've lost somebody who's important to you just because you moved or got a new job or got a new friend that you're spending more time with because it was a coworker or something like that. And you just let time pass and you stopped connecting with that friend, and then you were just too scared. I don't think you should lose a meaningful friendship because you're too scared. I have lost many this way. Not because I was too scared, but just because, or I guess yes, but I was too scared. But in the sense of I've moved, like I've mentioned in episode 1, a few times throughout my life. And I guess I would get worried that they would eventually forget about me or not want to have a long distance friendship with me. So I would cut them out of my life or push them away before that could end up happening. And so I could be less upset about it in the future. But then I shouldn't have done that because I look at that as a regret, because who knows how long our friendship could have been or how long I could have had that person in my life a little bit more. And also sometimes it was a language thing, and I speak both English and Italian, but I am definitely more comfortable speaking English. So after a while of being back in America, the Italian would slightly slip away, or I'd become less good in Italian. Even though I speak Italian daily with my mom, I don't read or write it because I'm no longer in an Italian school. And so texting would then be hard for me, and I preferred to avoid it. Also bullied a lot by some people when I went to school in Italy about how I wouldn't speak Italian with the most confidence. So I was just worried that I would be bullied by my friends, which wasn't the case because they never bullied me beforehand. So they wouldn't have bullied me now, even though just because I was living in America. That makes no sense, but that's how my brain worked at the time. So lesson number 2, life is too short to spend in a place that doesn't feel like home. I feel like this one is very self-explanatory. Life is way too short. Time flies by in a blink of an eye, and you shouldn't spend that time in a place that you don't like or don't feel comfortable in and that doesn't feel like home. You should live your life where you want to live it. And if you have that option and you're able to move to a place that does feel like home, that you love and want to experience every single day, then you should move and do that if you have that option. I am waiting for the day that I do that because I just want that. That's something I really want to feel like I feel at home where I am currently living. Number 3, health should be your number 1 priority, both mental and physical health. I have always underestimated health, which is so crazy to think about. How do you underestimate health? Like, it's so important. But I always did because I think you just go about your daily life and you slowly let things go, or you just say, oh, I'll deal with it later, or it's fine, I can deal with this. And then you just put everything into the back burner just to keep going about your daily life. And then all of a sudden you realize that you can't do that anymore. And also I've had a lot of health issues for a long time since I was growing up. Since I can remember, maybe 11, 12, around puberty time. And I always felt I couldn't complain about everything, because if I complained about my stomach hurting and my headaches and whatever was hurting, then I felt like I was just complaining about everything and anything. So I just always kept it to myself. And then I learned to just deal with it and live with it. And then years later, it's like, oh, wait, it's not normal to feel like this all the time and to feel absolutely like horrible every single day. That's crazy. Didn't know that. I think I was in high school when I realized it's not normal to have a headache every single day. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought this was normal, that everybody had a headache all the time. And no, apparently people don't have a headache every single day. Whereas for me, it's, if I don't have a headache, that's when I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a headache. Whereas other people, it's when they have a headache, it's a rare thing. And I can't fully grasp my mind around that, because even now I have a headache. It's just constant. And it's just a matter of the level of horrible that it is. But yeah, so health should be your number one priority, because it's important and you shouldn't put it on the back burner like I did, like I'm sure a lot of people do. And you need to figure out what's wrong so that you can feel better, because it's all really connected. Physical health, mental health, it's all connected. It's really important. And I would say it should be your number one priority, at least in my opinion. And for those really healthy people, you know, keep it in mind. But maybe not your number one priority, but always be safe. Man, yeah, I really can't imagine just being a really healthy person. I wish. It's sad, but I can't imagine. Sometimes my headaches are so bad that my eyes are watery and I'm super dizzy. Like right now I have a headache so bad that my eyes are just watering as I'm talking. It's not fun. 4. Compassion, respect, and honesty are 3 of the values that describe a really good person, and they are the ones that you should weigh when considering whether or not to have somebody in your life, not their sense of humor, their looks, their job, whatever else. It should be those 3 values. Another very self-explanatory one, I think compassion, respect, and honesty are just really fundamental values that make somebody a good person. And if somebody doesn't have one of those 3 or all 3, then I see it very rare that they are a good person. Especially respect. If a person doesn't respect others, I don't know how I am comfortable with that person that just has a lack of respect for the people around them. It's just, I don't know how I would justify someone like that. Which brings me to number 5. Respect goes a long way. I know that respect is in 2 of them, but I think of them, I think respect is so important that it deserves to have 2. And I think you can also see respect in 2 ways, of not just as a value, but also an action. Not only do I want it to be a value that I find in somebody, but I want to see it every single day. I just would like to see respect in so many ways from someone, and not in an unauthentic way of like, you have to prove to me that you have respect, but just if that person has it just organically and it's a part of them and who they are, and they have respect in numerous of ways towards people, then I feel like that's a sign of a really good person. Respect can range from basic manners to when it's more of a deeper connection, maybe respecting boundaries as an example. It can be just being kind and showing kindness to people, to strangers, to your friends, to your family. Having a basic level of awareness of the people around you and respecting them. You may not have to like every single person, but you should respect every single person because we're all humans. It can be your tone of voice towards customer service people, your spatial awareness when at a concert, saying hi to people you see often, like your coworkers, even those that you don't really necessarily like. It can be holding the door for somebody. Simple things like that. I can't stress further enough how important respect is, and at the very least, just basic respect, because I think that I think that respect has levels, and just at least basic respect. You should have just basic respect of your surroundings and the people around you, because if not, you're not a nice person. Simple as that. And I will have more examples in future episodes for sure that I can think of, longer, more story examples of respect. And I've just seen so many people not have respect, and it's ridiculous. It's mind blowing to me that there are people in this world that just don't have a basic level of respect, which means that you don't have a basic level of manners and care for the people around you. And I don't know. It's unfortunate. I just think why do I keep saying stress, bro? I just think respect is something that should be heavily valued and that you should have consistently. I don't think it's something that you should even truly have to really work for. I just think it's something that you should just be. You should just have respect, be respectful. I don't know how that's really difficult for a lot of people. Respect going a long way is a lesson that I learned, because I would say I have a optimistic view on people. I don't think I have an optimistic view on life. It's a little complicated. I don't know. But on people, I feel like I tend to see the good in people until otherwise proven. And I always get let down. Very often, at least, I get let down. Especially in just random people and random situations that I see, and not the people that I choose to have in my life. But if I just in public, just witnessing a lot of things, and I'm like, damn, why don't people have just basic respect? I don't understand it. So that was something that was like a hard truth, and learning that it's not as common to for everyone to have respect. Same thing as common knowledge isn't actually common. And also because I think there was a point in my life where I didn't have that great respect for others as I have now. Not to say that I was disrespectful. I always had some basic respect, but I definitely learned more about respect and how to be respectful towards people as I grow up. Because like I said, I think respect has different levels. So it's not just basic manners. It's also different areas of people's lives. So learning about people's boundaries, learning not to push buttons and things like that. Those are things that I feel you learn throughout life and through your relationships with people. And that's a different level of respect. So I had to learn to have more respect throughout my life. Lesson 6. There's a difference between coworkers and friends. This is not to say that some of your coworkers could become friends, but you shouldn't treat all of your coworkers as friends immediately, or when you get to the point when that you're comfortable with them, give them the same level of confidence that you do with your friends. Learned this one the hard way, because I feel like I've definitely put more trust in a lot of coworkers than I should have because I saw them more as friends, and I blurred the lines between coworkers and friends. And I have some friends who became my friend because we were coworkers, but others are just coworkers, and it's okay to see them as two separate categories. There should be separate categories when it comes to the people in your life. There's, I would say there's family, friends, close friends, coworkers, acquaintances. At least for me, those are the categories. And you should treat those categories very differently and be conscious of who you are telling what to and who you are opening up to, and giving too much of your life to specific people in specific categories that you shouldn't be. Lesson 7, identify what you like and don't like, and then once you do, manage your time effectively according to those. This all ties in to the don't waste time and life is too short aspect, because you shouldn't waste time on things that you don't like. And of course, you should try new things, try new hobbies, but that's what I mean by identify what you do like and what you don't like. And once you do know distinctively those likes and dislikes, manage that time effectively so that you are making the most out of your time. At the end of the day, you're going to regret the time that you wasted on things that you didn't like and you knew that you didn't like more than you are going to regret spending a long time on doing something that you really do like, or spending time doing something that you were too scared to do at first, and then you did it, and then you were like, wow, this is amazing, I love this, and then you're spending your time doing something that you love, even though you were scared to do it in the first place. Also super important is to invest time in your hobbies. I think you should take a little bit of time in your week to dedicate to your hobbies, because I think it's so important to your mental health. Ever since I started dedicating a little bit of time whenever I can throughout my week to color or paint, I just feel so much better, so much happier when I have done those things throughout my week or in my day. Another thing related to this lesson, I think it's important to let yourself be creative. I think I didn't let myself be creative as a kid, at least not in the physical sense, such as painting or creating something, because I knew I wasn't great at drawing. I'm still not great at drawing. I can't draw at all. And I thought because I'm not great at drawing, I wouldn't be good at anything else in that sort of department. So I never really tried, but it was always something that I wanted to do because it looked fun. And then when I let myself try it, I identified that I did like it, and then I could invest that time to get better at it. And looking back at things that I've painted, I can see such a progression and see how I went from not really good at all to somewhat better. I'm not going to say I'm amazing and I'm an amazing painter. I don't even paint freehand. It's not like drawing freehand, like creating. I just paint on like little already made ceramics, but that's a lot for me. That's progress for me, and then you can see the line work and like how the colors are and stuff like that. And I see a progress. Okay. But I'm still not an amazing painter because I can't do it in the sense of drawing and actually sketching something out, but I paint little already pre-made things, and I think I've been getting better at it. But that's what I mean by letting yourself try the things and identify what you like so that then you can invest that time and have fun. So doing physically creative things is pretty new to me. I've only started doing them in the past yearish. Like I said, I color and I paint, and I also started doing pottery at home with a little air dry clay pottery kit. And these are what I consider my hobbies, which a year ago, if somebody asked me what my hobbies are, I probably wouldn't have known what to say other than read, but I never really had anything that was, I felt, expressive that I was able to express myself with and let my creative side show a little bit more. So I'm happy that I tried these things, and I tried coloring and painting and pottery and stuff now, and I feel like I get to express myself creatively more, and I love it so much. The coloring I use as just a reducing stress and anxiety technique, I guess. Not technique, but something to do to reduce my stress and anxiety. And it really helps. I think it's because I focus so much on what colors to use and how to color the picture and stuff. And also I have those not dry erase, but those, I don't know what they're called, but the specific markers that are all over TikTok, the Cali art ones, and they dry super fast. And alcoholic markers. Yes, alcoholic markers, I think. And they dry super fast. And if you stop coloring for a little and you let the color dry, then it leaves these streaks when you start up again. And I hate that. So I focus really hard on getting the specific part done. Like if I'm doing a bush, I have to finish the entire bush before I stop coloring and move on to the next thing. I can't do half the bush, which who would do half a bush anyway? But that's what I do. And I think because of that, and I hate those streaks, that I focus so much on not getting those streaks that I'm not thinking about all of the 100 million things that I'm thinking about normally when I'm not coloring. So coloring really helps for my anxiety, which is great. I love that I have that now. I color something maybe every night or every few nights if I can. I would love to color every night, but I do it only if I can. Maybe 3 times to 4 times a week I color. And then painting, I do a little bit less, maybe every 2 weeks or something. And pottery is new. I just started doing that. But yeah, those are my creative hobbies, and I love that I have those now. The only thing that I did that was creative when I was younger was write, and I still do write sometimes. When I feel inspired, I write either some short stories or poetry, mainly poetry. And I also journal, but I don't know, I feel like I see that separate from writing short stories and poetry. The journal is not as creative just because it's my internal thoughts and not something I'm inventing, you know? Lesson 8. And this is kind of similar to lesson 7, but you should make time to learn new things. Learn about different cultures, learn different languages, try new foods, learn about different music genres, different cultures' music, different cultures' traditions. Learn about history, philosophies, religions, all of it. Just really educate yourself and expand your knowledge on the world, and meet new people, learn their perspectives, just expand your horizons. Also, meeting new people and learning about different people's perspectives and how they differ from you helps you to become more of an open-minded person. Lesson 9. When you're in college and university, if you go to college or university, utilize every single tool that you are given. One of the biggest benefits of attending college or university, arguably, is the networking opportunities and the connections that you can make with your fellow peers, professors, motivational speakers, anybody who you can, really. And the tools that colleges and universities offer that you wouldn't even think of, but you should utilize every single one if you can. And specifically, in my case, I believe that a tool that's slightly overlooked is internships. We all know that internships are annoying because most of them are unpaid and you still have to work long hours. And if you are also working either part-time or full-time to pay for school, it's kind of impossible to do an internship while also doing your job to actually pay to go to school. And that's why I didn't do an internship. I did a class that gave me an internship credit. And first of all, I was struggling to find an internship that was actually good and that I was trying to find one that paid me. So if I did reduce my hours at work, I was able to still get money. Impossible, just really difficult to find a paid internship. And then the unpaid ones were requiring me to work like 40 hours a week, which if I was already working 40 hours a week at my regular job, it was just impossible. I was just going to end up overly stressed and overworked. So I was like, I'm not doing this. And I just ended up doing a college credit class for it. Not college credit. Why did I say that? Internship credit class for it. And looking back, I realized that was a mistake because when I graduated, it was so difficult. It's so difficult to find a job in my field, even with a master's degree. And it's kind of impossible, it feels like, to get a job in my field. And it's all because every single time they're asking for experience and I don't have any because I didn't do the internship. So, and there's other ways of getting experience, but I think an internship is obviously that traditional route to getting the experience. And a lot of times people end up getting full positions from where they interned, which is why I was trying to look for an actual good place to intern, because I knew that there was a possibility that I could end up getting a job there. Not to say that I was going to, but I was trying to find the best option, and it just didn't seem to work out. But internships are a way to get experience so that then when you do graduate, when you apply to other jobs, you have that experience that they are looking for. Without internship, it feels impossible because you don't have said experience. So that's a lesson that I look back and I'm like, damn, if only I had thought about this a little bit more and saw these consequences coming. So I definitely highly recommend doing an internship, as well as taking advantage of, like I said, any other tool and possibility that the college or university offers you, because you pay the tuition. Or even if you don't pay the tuition, why not? Even if you have a scholarship or loan, well, loan is still paying for the tuition, but you're attending, you might as well utilize all those tools because they end up helping you. What's the worst that can happen, you know? Lesson 10, always have a backup plan. There's not much I can really say about this one. It's just be prepared and always be ready for if your first plan doesn't work out to have a backup plan just in case. And this is a lesson that I've had to learn over and over again. But yeah, believe in yourself and be confident in your first plan and try to make it happen, but just be prepared just in case to work and make it happen in a different way. Lesson 11, always research everything before you do anything or buy anything. I have on multiple times bought things without looking at reviews because I'm not the type of person to look at reviews. I don't know. I feel like there's people who religiously look at reviews. I have a friend like that just religiously looks at reviews before she buys anything. And I just don't. I don't look at reviews. I don't think about looking at reviews. But there's been 2 or 3 times where I've purchased something and it has arrived and it just is awful. And not really worth the money. And then I look at the reviews after and I'm like, oh, well, could have saved me this purchase. And luckily, most of the times I'm able to return them. But there's one that really, it stings. It stings that I'm not able to return that one. And it's just broken and it's very upsetting. But then I spent a lot of money on it and it was a gift. So that's very upsetting. But yeah, maybe I'm just the stupid one. So maybe this was just me having to learn this lesson, but it is a lesson I learned nonetheless, to always research before you buy anything and before you do anything, any activity or stuff like that, like purchase an activity for you to do. Horseback riding, getting a massage, ice skating, those types of things. Lesson 12. Find a happy place in your mind and visit it often, even when you don't think you need to. So what I mean by this is a happy place in your mind. So not a physical happy place, but a thought that you have, a song that you listen to, a movie that you watch, a show that you watch, a specific episode of a show you watch, a YouTube video that you like, something like that you can put yourself in a happy mindset that gets you in a really good mood, that makes you feel like you are in a happy place in your mind. And what I mean by visit there often is sometimes we just get caught up in our days and we don't really see that we're going through the motions and feeling drained or a little bit upset or just in a negative feeling. And so if you visit that happy place in your mind often, it can help, even for the little bit, to make you feel a little bit better. For me, that happy place is listening to music and I have a specific song that I listen to when I'm anxious to help calm my anxiety, but also this happy place in my mind that I'm referring to would be a few songs that make me feel a certain way, that just make me feel very hopeful. And I think that's the key. It's something that makes you feel very hopeful and inspired. Those two things, hopeful and inspired. And that's how I feel in the happy place in my mind. At least for me, maybe it might be different for you, but those two emotions are what makes me feel always okay to then move forward and feel a little bit more positive and happy in my life. And I say the visit it often, even when you don't think you need to, is because I don't think you should, quote unquote, go to this happy place in your mind just when you know that you are upset and that you need this. But you should also go just to kind of feel a little bit of escape, and you won't realize that it's what you needed at the time. But it is. And if not, you just rewatched or re-listened to something that you really love. Lesson 13. This one is a very important one. It's the way that you see yourself today is not how you will see yourself in the next 5, 10 years, or so on. We have the tendency to look at ourselves in a negative light and be our harshest critics, basically. And you're going to look back and regret how badly you spoke about yourself, and that you are somebody who doesn't deserve how badly you spoke about yourself. The past you doesn't deserve to have been spoken to like that by you. I know for me, I look back at pictures when I was maybe 15 years old, and I think about all the negative things I told to myself at that time about how I looked. And looking back, I'm like, I don't see those things anymore. I'm just a kid. Why did I think so many bad things about myself? Why did I pick every little aspect of how I looked and who I was when I was that age. When looking back now, I looked fine. I can tell that I looked fine. I'm just 15. And even though it's hard to not, at least for me, it's hard to not pick at every little thing that I don't like about myself right now, I know that in 10 years, it's going to be the same thing as how I look at myself when I'm 15 now. I'm going to be 35 and I'm going to look at myself at this age and be like, why was I so mean to myself when I don't see those things anymore? And I think thinking of it from that perspective can help a little to be a little easier on yourself in present day. If you wouldn't speak this negatively about yourself, the 10-year-old you, or the you from 5 years ago or from 10 years ago, if you wouldn't speak this negatively about them, then you shouldn't speak this negatively about you in present time either. Because then future you is going to be pissed. Future you is going to be mad that you spoke this negatively about yourself. So don't. I know that's easier said than done though. This is a lesson that I feel like I've learned, but I haven't yet put into action. So that's a goal for 2024 for me, and to try to actually live out this lesson. I know it, but it's hard to actually do it. All right, lesson 14. Now this one's very specific and not a lot of people might not relate to this one. Maybe you do, but it's don't always hate your parents' judgments. A lot of the times they're right about the wrong people around you. This is more so targeted when it's that one person that your parent, the parent that you trust the most, is constantly saying like, I don't like this person. They're not good for you, or you shouldn't be around them. They're not a good, what's it called? Good role model. They don't have your interest at heart, etc. All of those things. It's when that the parent that you trust the most specifically really hates this one person that's in your life and is constantly like, no, I have a bad feeling about them, etc. This is this situation, I believe. And I feel like this doesn't happen. This isn't like when your parent just doesn't like that one friend of yours. This is a very specific situation. And if you know, you know. And I think in the end, the parent is right about that person, at least from my friends and from situations that I know personally. The parent was right about the situations. So I feel like trust it. Don't always hate it, because you hate it in the moment, but then after you're like, they were right. Okay, so continuing on with the family parents, lesson 15 is hold your family to the same standards that you hold your friends. Your family isn't chosen, but your friends are chosen. And you hold your friends to a different standard. A lot of the times I have friends that let their family slide on things that they wouldn't let their friends slide on. And I have been guilty of doing that as well. But if you wouldn't be friends with somebody who had those values or did those things that you don't agree with, then you shouldn't be okay with your family doing it as well. Now, this is, of course, different for everybody, because some people are okay with still having that family in their lives. But personally, I feel like it was a lesson that I had to learn, that I don't have to have my family in my life. Of course, I would love that, and I would love a close bond with my family. And I've never really had a close bond with my extended family I've never had a close bond with my family other than my mom, and I'm an only child. So it's really just my mom and then extended family. So I've never had a close bond with much of my extended family. And that's something that I obviously really wanted, especially growing up. But it's just how it is, especially because I've just always lived really far away from my family. And so they do things that I don't really like necessarily or agree with. And not to say that they're bad people, it's just if I had to choose them as friends, I wouldn't. And also because, like I said, I did want a closer connection with my family when I was younger. So in my adult life, I did try to form that connection a little bit more, but I just never really saw it reciprocated, and I didn't really feel like they cared about me the way that I did or respected them. Plus the fact that I just didn't really like how they acted and things. It was pretty much easy for me to be like, okay, well, they don't really have to be in my life. Of course, be cordial and stuff, and I'll like happy birthdays or whatever like that, but it's never really something that I don't really have that relationship with them in that way anyway. So realizing that you don't have to have that type of family in your life. That's okay. You can have whatever family you want, even though you don't choose which family you're born into. You can choose who you keep in your life. And your family could always be your friends and people that you truly love and want to spend time with. You know, the little chosen family trope is cute. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop this right here because we're only on lesson 15 and there is a lot more to go and a lot more to talk about. So next week's episode is going to be part 2, continuing with the next 10 lessons out of my 25 and with my 25 goals before I turn 50. Thank you guys so much for listening. I can't wait for next week's episode. And I just can't believe that I'm actually doing this podcast. It feels so surreal and amazing and exciting. That's why I just feel like I'm excited constantly. I'm talking into a mic. It's insane. But yeah, so stay tuned for next week. You can follow me on Instagram at the Postcard Podcast and at Reb in Progress. Thank you. Talk to you soon.